Part 102. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1011. Chapter 1011. Do what you want to do. Chu Shenming then put down the book, looked at Chu Sensio seriously, reached out and patted him on the forehead. Chu Sensio covered his forehead in pain and said angrily, "Oh, brother, what are you doing? It hurts." Chu Shenming looked at him intently. "Do you still know about pressure? You have been inferior to me in every aspect since you were a child. It's just that you are too playful and don't focus on anything, so you are like this now. You seem to know everything, but it seems like nothing can be done." It was rare for Chu Shenming to speak to Chu Sensio in such a serious and sincere tone. Chu Sensio was originally just a joke, but who knew his brother would take it seriously? Chu Sensio stuck out his tongue angrily and replied, "But brother, you have been better than me since you were a child, and you have always been the one praised by everyone. For me, I just want to be happy." Chu Sensio said so and stretched. Chu Sensio showed extremely high musical talent when he was young. His musical talent was even better than Xia Ying's, but it didn't take long for him to give up music himself. The music he composed when he was a child is still in Squaguang. To spread. If he had been engaged in music, he would definitely be very successful now. Later, Chu Sensio fell in love with too many things, but he only tasted them briefly and persisted in none of them. Everyone said that Chu Shenming was a genius, but only Chu Shenming, the so-called genius, knew that the real genius was actually his younger brother Chu Sensio. No matter what Chu Sensio learns, he is faster than him, but it is difficult for him to concentrate and do one thing well. He gets started quickly and learns faster than others, but as time goes by, others start to pay attention, but he gradually gives up, and naturally he is easily overtaken by others. 13. What are you going to do in the future? Chu Shenming asked seriously. Chu Sensio smiled and replied, "I learned business from my uncle." "That's what I'm doing now, isn't it?" Chu Sensio smiled brightly, and Chu Shenming didn't know whether he really thought so. "You only have one life, do what you want to do most." After Chu Shenming said this, he stopped saying anything and focused his eyes on the book. "I don't know what I want to do." Chu Sensio lay on the table and said in a low voice. Chu Shenming was startled after hearing this and said nothing. The look that fell on Chu Sensio was very complicated. 13. In fact, your parents are doing this for your own good. The little princess has received an elite education since she was a child, and she is also an Orthodox lady from a famous family. She is the most outstanding girl in the entire country. I know that you have always felt that your parents arranged marriages. It's very old-fashioned to be backward, but the king has loved you for many years, and you are his most satisfied candidate. Everyone thinks that you, Chu Sensio, are stubborn, but I think the king is the one who really sees your core. Since he has chosen you, then, no matter what, little princess, you should go and see me. You can't escape this annual banquet." Chu Shenming kept talking, but Chu Sensio didn't reply at all. Chu Shenming glanced sideways and glanced at Chu Sensio. 13. Are you listening? There was no reply. Chu Shenming frowned and called again. 13. At this time, Chu Sensio heard steady breathing. Chu Shenming held his forehead helplessly, but he actually fell asleep. Chu Shenming turned around, found a blanket, and put it on Chu Sensio. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1012. Chapter 1012. There is no shortage of stars in the music world. After the first show of Liang Ye's variety show You Are the Singer was aired, the ratings on the internet exploded, and Liang Ye himself was also well received. Every time he performs, no matter what level the player is, Liang Ye will give him the most sincere evaluation. Everyone saw Liang Ye's attentiveness, meticulousness, and professionalism. At that time, when rumors were spreading, the whole internet was saying that Hai Liang was born in the mountains, had no education, was a country man, and had a vulgar temperament. After becoming famous, his bad nature became even more obvious. However, in such a live variety show, netizens saw Liang Ye as a very polite mentor and judge who treated every dream chaser with care and attention. Liang Ye's qualifications are the least among the judges present. He has been in the entertainment industry for a short time, but he has the most popularity and fans because his voice has a different taste and story. But even so, Liang Ye has always been asking for advice from his seniors with an open-minded attitude. Such a person is really very popular. This variety show has only aired for 4 episodes, but Liang Ye's Weibo has already gained more than 2 million followers, which is really surprising. Xia Ying and everyone in the company are very happy for Liang Ye, but Liang Ye has become a little depressed recently. Xia Ying discovered this and went over to ask him what was going on. Liang Ye raised his black glass eyes, stared at Xia Ying, and asked sincerely, "When the time comes, can I follow my own wishes and choose the champion?" Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, not quite understanding the reason why Liang Ye suddenly asked this question. Of course. This is a live variety show, and the producers are all really qualified teams. Generally, there will be no shady stories. Liang Ye took a long sigh after hearing Xia Ying's words. Does a variety show without shady scenes really exist? Xia Ying frowned. Liang Ye, did you hear something? Liang Ye nodded, with a heavy look on his face. Although the show has only been broadcast for 4 episodes, there are people on the internet who have already been discussing the candidates for the championship. The discussions have gone back and forth, and it is just a few people. However, I personally think Kuiyaki's ability he is relatively strong, but the day before yesterday, I overheard them talking about this. They said that the champion is Su Hao because he has connections. Xia Ying's brows knitted together and she wanted to say something out loud, but she couldn't find any words for the moment. She has been in the entertainment industry for many years. She knows what talent shows in the entertainment industry are like. Some players will hype up their miserable backgrounds to gain sympathy, some will hype scandals to gain popularity, and some will use good personalities to attract fans. There are not many people who really make music, not for fame or money. Because of this, people are often eliminated at the beginning, unless they have very strong abilities and mentality to make it to the end. Liang Ye has also participated in the draft before, and he knows the difference between warmth and coldness best. Su Hao is indeed a good star. He is good looking and has a good singing voice, but there is no shortage of stars like him in the music world. What is needed is musicians and real singers like Kuiyaki. When Liang Ye said this, he took a deep breath. However, Su Hao's popularity and fans are indeed higher than Kuiyaki in their view. Su Hao has more commercial value, and coupled with his background, he does have more hope of winning the championship than Kuiyaki. Xia Ying said. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1013. Chapter 1013, Open Your Own Studio. The variety show You Are the Singer is very popular. Xia Ying herself is also paying attention to it and is also a fan of this show. Su Hao is 1.8 centimeters tall, handsome, and has a pair of charming peach blossom eyes. He has a lot of female fans. More importantly, he has connections and a team to help him operate. Press releases are flying all over the place, and they are hotly searched on Fancy every day. Su Hao is a very successfully packaged case. He is also the person with the most fans in this variety show. He is always number 1 in every audience voting ranking. But Kuiyaki, his appearance is actually not inferior to Su Hao, but he is too low-key, and he is suppressed by Su Hofang, so every shot is suppressed very little. Kuiyaki is also a person who is not good at words. Compared with Su Hao's sweet words and various humorous jokes, Kuiyaki is like a boring gourd. Naturally, his ability to attract fans is not as good as Su Hao's. Xia Ying herself hopes that Kuiyaki will win the championship. Even though Xia Ying knows that this result is actually impossible. If he performs well later, he will probably win the runner-up, but the championship must be Su Hao's. It doesn't matter, such a person will not be buried. Xia Ying patted Liang Ye on the shoulder, since you like him so much, just sign him. Liang Ye was startled after hearing Xia Ying's words. After a while, he recovered and looked at Xia Ying, and said in surprise, me. But, how can I sign him? It's time for you to open your own studio. Liang Ye's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what Xia Ying said. He wanted to open his own studio, but how long had he made his debut? Don't worry, you definitely have the ability. Xia Ying patted Liang Ye's shoulder and said in a soft voice. But Liang Ye was a little hesitant. He had never thought of opening a personal studio. At this moment, Xia Ying suddenly mentioned that he was not prepared at all. Liang Ye, I signed you because I saw your musical talent. I wanted to give you a stage and opportunity to show yourself. I'm not using you as a cash cow, and I won't restrict you. You want to whatever you do, just do it. Promote the juniors you like as much as possible, don't have any fear, and do what you want to do. Liang Ye was very moved by Xia Ying's words, and the circles around his eyes gradually became moist. Liang Ye looked at Xia Ying and said in a hoarse voice, really, thank you very much. Without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. I am the stupidest person and can't say anything nice, but I will use my own abilities. I'll prove it to you. Xia Ying showed a spring-like smile and said, I have always believed in you. At this time, Xia Ying's assistant was holding a bouquet that Xia Ying was no longer familiar with. She had an awkward smile on her face and walked towards Xia Ying. Behind the assistant was Qian Yin, who was full of gossip. Yeah, that wealthy fan has sent flowers to the boss again. Qian Yin smiled maliciously and teased Xia Ying. Xia Ying frowned and asked her assistant, what's going on? The assistant sighed and felt helpless. It's the same trick, if you don't accept it, he will keep giving it away, so I had no choice but to accept it. Xia Ying had no choice but to take it. There was a conspicuous purple card on it, let's have a meal together on Sunday afternoon. Li Senator. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1014. Chapter 1014, Think of a position to lie in. Qian Yin's looked like he was worried that the world would not be in chaos. He leaned over and took a look. After reading it, he joked, hey, why don't you invite our boss to dinner? I'm going to complain to Brother Yudi. Xia Ying rolled her eyes and said, Qianyans, are you itchy? Just at this time, Yu Lingfeng suddenly came over and asked with a smile, what are you complaining about? Xia Ying's face darkened. Yu Lingfeng showed up just in time. Qian Yin's big mouth immediately shouted, Brother Yudi, someone wants to chase our boss and make trouble on your head, do you think you can bear it? Xia Ying twitched the corner of her mouth, this Qian Yin's skin was really itchy. She will confiscate all his handicrafts later, and they will be confiscated forever and will never be given away. Yu Lingfeng seemed very calm. Over the years, he had seen all kinds of small fish and shrimps. He had even chased away big sharks like Jun Chenai, and there was no such thing as the others. It's necessary. Yu Lingfeng saw the bouquet in Xia Ying's hand as soon as he entered the door, so he walked towards Xia Ying and took the bouquet of flowers from Xia Ying's arms. Miss Chair's flowers, that person is quite generous. Yu Lingfeng slowly threw the flower into the trash can, and then took away the card in Xia Ying's hand. Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows. Although it was a simple sentence, Yu Lingfeng stared at it for several minutes. Xia Ying was like a child who had made a mistake, standing silently with her head lowered and biting her lip. Qian Yin's continued to act like a loser. Although Xia Ying gave him countless hints in her eyes, he still added to the jealousy without any desire to survive. Brother Yudi, this person is bad. He doesn't say anything every time he sends flowers, and threatened to keep sending them if he didn't accept them. At first, our boss thought he was a crazy fan, and he was afraid that the fans would waste their money, so he accepted them. Who knew that he kept sending them anyway? Our boss was really persistent with him last time. Going out is already a great honor, but he actually wants to ask our boss out, which is really an extra step. Yu Lingfeng was stunned and looked at Xia Ying. Have you ever had dinner with him? Qian Yin's, who was standing next to Yu Lingfeng, clearly felt that the temperature around him had dropped several degrees. Only then did he slowly realize that everyone in the room was staring at him, as if they wanted to peel him off and convulse him. Appearance. Qian Yin swallowed silently and glanced at Xia Ying carefully. Xia Ying was already looking at him as if the coffin is ready. I want to find a position to lie in it. Qian Yin started to lower his head and pretended not to know, pretending that nothing happened. He just listened to 11 Jews' words and said that he wanted to be nicer to his master, so he was so attentive. But who knew that his diligence would end up at the muzzle of the gun? He decided to hide his figurine later. He already had a bad feeling about it. His figure, sooner or later pills. It's the charity party I told you about last time. Xia Ying's voice weakened. But you didn't tell me that you went with someone else. Yu Lingfeng asked next. Everyone in the room couldn't help but shudder, and the temperature of the room began to decrease with Yu Lingfeng as the center. Terrible. I'm just afraid that you will be unhappy, and it's just to help those children. Xia Ying then added, there will be no more in the future. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1015. Chapter 1015, Marry a chicken, follow the chicken, marry a dog, follow the dog. Xia Yingti stared at Yu Lingfeng with a pair of black grape-like eyes, pouting her mouth slightly. That look made people feel affectionate. Yu Lingfeng frowned. With Xia Ying's appearance, he felt like he didn't know what to do with her. Yu Lingfeng glanced at the name on the card again, Li Sen. Yu Lingfeng's face showed no signs of inner activity. Although he seemed to be watching without emotion, Xia Ying knew that Yu Lingfeng's heart was already like a tsunami at this moment. Since I'm so sincerely inviting you, it would be stingy not to go. Yu Lingfeng put down the card and said this. Everyone was shocked. What the hell? Does Yu Lingfeng mean to ask Xia Ying to have dinner with that Li Sen? Could Yu Lingfeng have such a big heart? It shouldn't be. Only if Xia Ying has an open heart, Yu Lingfeng will not let him go to the appointment alone. He will definitely go with her to give Li Sen a blow and make him completely give up his thoughts and ideas about Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng, It's decided. Yu Lingfeng interrupted Xia Ying's next words, and Xia Ying had no choice but to curl her lips and follow him. Yu Lingfeng put down the breakfast for Xia Ying and left. Yu Lingfeng had just closed the door when he heard Qian Yin's pitiful screams, accompanied by begging for mercy. Yu Lingfeng walked away with no expression on his face. Spare your life, you're killing people, the dark messenger is killing people again. Qian Yin's was chased all over the office by Xia Ying. Sometimes he hid behind Sister Wan, and sometimes used Liangye as a shield. However, no one wanted to protect him, and even caught him directly in front of Xia Ying. Let Xia Ying do whatever she wants. Why are you all like this? We agreed that we are a family that loves each other? It's all a lie. It's a lie. Qian Yin's was still screaming, but Xia Ying had already hit him with a feather duster. Qian Yin screamed at the top of his lungs. The whole company was shocked, even the maid who heard it was frightened. Big jump. Qian Yins, you brought it on yourself this time with your big mouth, you can't blame others. Sister Wan said. Liang Ye nodded in agreement. I, 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 I didn't expect this to happen. Xia Ying was so angry that she slapped Qian Yins with a feather duster again, and angrily said, "Can't you shut up? I just kept telling you with my eyes that you are blind or stupid, don't you know? I thought that about you and Li Sen going out, brother Yudi." Shut up. Xia Ying felt nauseated when she heard this greasy name. You are not allowed to call him that. Qian Yins licked his lips and continued, I thought you Lingfeng knew it, and my tone was clearly on your side. Didn't I criticize Li Sen? Who knew it would be self-defeating? Your attitude is very strange today. Why are you so attentive to you Lingfeng? Are you the West Jew? Sister Wan said doubtfully. Qian Yins cleared his throat, what? If you marry a chicken, you can marry a dog, you can follow a dog. Isn't Zihu's master my master? Of course I have to treat Yud, Lingfeng, okay, this is Zihu's teaching. Mine. Xia Ying was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She didn't expect that the one she cultivated so hard would be a white-eyed wolf. Sister Wan's face turned dark. Even if the boss handed out dog food, now she wants to eat dog food from a couple? What did she, a single woman in her 30s, do wrong? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1016. Chapter 1016. The entertainment industry is getting harder and harder. Xia Ying covered her heart and tried to hold back Qian Yin's anger so she wouldn't vomit blood. Sister Wan, all Qian Yin's figures have been confiscated. As soon as Xia Ying finished speaking, Qian Yin's knelt down in front of Xia Ying with a plop. Everyone present was shocked. What are you doing? Xia Ying rolled her eyes at him. Qian Yin's held Xia Ying's thigh, crying with snot and tears, and told the feelings that he and the figures share the same brotherhood, breathing and destiny. Like an ancient storyteller, he seemed to have endless things to say. Xia Ying was so disturbed by his quarrel. This guy, I don't know what changed. Monster. Forget it, I'll let you off this time if you dare to be such a talkative and dramatic person next time. I won't steal your figurine, I'll prevent you from seeing 11 Jew for a month. Qian Yin's Yuan Bao still looked grateful when listening to the first half of the sentence. After Xia Ying finished speaking, Qian Yin's face immediately drooped, and then he said, then you should use my hand. Xia Ying. If the figure is gone, he can buy it again. If he can't buy it, he can go to Xia Ying and steal it back. But you can't miss your boyfriend for a day. He will go crazy. There's really nothing we can do against people like you. Xia Ying looked at the ceiling with a look of despair on her face, and then said, let's go, I want to have breakfast. Qian Yin's then left in a huff. After Qian Yin's left, Sister Wan and Liang Ye also left. Imperial Capital, Airport. Chu Shenxia was sitting on his seat, playing with his mobile phone, waiting for someone to appear. Jun Chenai is going back to China. Firstly, it's the new year and he's coming to China to celebrate the new year. Secondly, he has to start preparing for his comeback album. It is said that his album sales record was broken by a newcomer named Liang Ye from Xia Ying Company. Jun Chenai naturally had no way to accept this fact. Speaking of which, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that the people in Xia Ying Company were all here to compete with him for his job. The man named Qian Yins wants to compete with him on the national mail list. The man named Liang Ye has stolen his album sales record. As for Xia Ying herself, let alone her, she has always been her competitor. Cough. Fortunately, Xia Ying doesn't release an album. The entertainment industry is getting increasingly difficult. Jun Chennai thinks doing business is more fun. Jun Chennai was sitting on the plane, leisurely reading a financial magazine and drinking the hot coffee at hand. Jun Chennai. Hearing this familiar voice, Jun Chennai shook his hand holding the coffee, and the coffee almost spilled on his magazine. Follow me. Jun Chennai put down his coffee and glanced sideways at the man sitting next to him. There is only an aisle between the two of them. Shouldn't Jun Xianyan stay in the company at this time and think about next year's market strategy? With such losses this year, I could easily boast about Haikal, but it has not yet come true. In today's circle, many people regard Jun Xianyan as nothing more than a joke. The country of China does not belong to you alone, Jun Chennai. You can go back, why can't I go back? Jun Xianyan said with cold eyes. That look looked like he was about to peel off Jun Chennai's skin and give him cramps. Of course, if he had this opportunity, Jun Xianyan would not be lenient. It's probably someone who often does this kind of thing, so I have to doubt your intentions. Jun Chennai smiled slightly and took a sip of coffee. Jun Chennai, what are you proud of? Jun Xianyan was angered. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1017. Chapter 1017 Jun Chennai, are you looking for death? Jun Chennai gave a faint laugh, then raised the cover of the magazine he was reading just now and stood it up for Jun Xianyan to see. The person on the cover was Jun Chennai. The big words on the cover, the most potential young entrepreneur of the year, directly stung the softest corner of Jun Xianyan's heart. Jun Xianyan's hand hanging by his side was clenched into a fist, and innocence began to appear in the joints. Jun Xianyan gritted his teeth and spoke a few words from between his teeth. Jun Chennai, are you looking for death? Jun Chennai raised the corner of his mouth. Didn't you ask for this? At least, I am quite proud of myself. Jun Xianyan squinted his eyes. Don't think that I don't know what dirty tricks you used. Aren't all your big customers poached from me? You are deliberately fighting me. I tell you, I will never forgive you. Jun Chennai smiled. Compared to Jun Xianyan, who looked like a beast that was about to pounce and bite his neck off at any moment, Jun Chennai looked much more relaxed and content, as if he didn't take Jun Xianyan seriously at all. Those people have been with you for a few years. If they really treat you sincerely, they won't leave so easily. Jun Chennai simply said, I think you know best who the shameless person is. You colluded with the gangs and used the lives of your family to threaten those who cooperated with you. You, Jun Xianyan, can only do such a thing. Come on. How can you say that others use the most despicable methods? You, Jun Xianyan, can do the most despicable things in the world. Jun Chennai. Jun Xianyan's eyes turned red with anger, and he directly poured the champagne he had on Jun Chennai. Jun Xianyan's action attracted the attention of those around him, and everyone was discussing something in whispers. At this time, the stewardess came over. Jun Chennai looked at the gentle and beautiful stewardess with an innocent face and accused Jun Xianyan of his crimes. Miss, you see how fierce that person is, can you help me change my seat and stay away from him, a little? Jun Chennai said while pointing to his shirt that was stained by Jun Xianyan. The flight attendant took out a tissue and wiped it with Jun Chennai, then asked, what happened? The flight attendant thought that the voice of the person in front of her was familiar. She lowered her head and looked into those eyes, and was surprised to find that it was Jun Chennai. The flight attendant's hands began to tremble, she covered her mouth, her eyes widened, and she whispered in disbelief, You are. Jun Chennai was afraid that she would say it, so he interrupted with a smile, Miss, can you help me change seats? Jun Chennai took out a pen and paper and gave the stewardess a signature. The stewardess almost fainted from excitement. Who would have thought that Jun Chennai, who had been away from the entertainment industry for so many years, would actually get on her plane, and he just touched her, touched her. Yes, 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 I can help you take a look. The stewardess was so excited that she was trembling when she spoke. While walking, I tried to force myself not to feel dizzy. When she thought that she was the first person in China to see Jun Chennai, she was so excited that she completely forgot that she was still at work at the moment. Jun Xianyan let out a contemptuous hum from his nose. Jun Chennai stood up and quickly packed his things. He rolled his eyes at Jun Xianyan and said proudly, "Sayonara, goodbye." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1018. Chapter 1018. You just can't change your narcissism. Jun Chennai left, and Jun Xianyan was so angry that he trembled all over. That Jun Chennai was so lawless that he actually investigated him, and even threatened him. Jun Chennai, just wait for me, I won't make it easy for you. You are not worthy of competing with me for the position of successor. After leaving Jun Xianyan, Jun Chennai had a good sleep, and it was already time to wake up. Jun Chennai packed his belongings and was about to get off the plane when the flight attendant came over again with blinking eyes, holding a few pieces of paper and a pen in her hand. The stewardess was a little shy to speak, pursed her lips, and did not dare to look directly into Jun Chennai's eyes. Jun Chennai saw her intention at a glance, so he greeted her with a smile, "Miss, do you want an autograph?" "Uh-huh." The stewardess nodded sharply, handed the pen and paper to Jun Chennai, and then explained, "Well, that may be a bit too much. We have several fans of yours on the crew." Originally, after professional training, he was supposed to be an eloquent person, but now that he met Jun Chennai, the national male god, all professional training in professionalism was forgotten. "Sister, I haven't signed my signature for a long time. I'm afraid the signature will look ugly. Don't be offended." As Jun Chennai spoke, he quickly signed a few pieces of paper in his hand and then rolled his eyes. Passed it to the stewardess. The flight attendant held the signatures to her chest as if she had found a treasure, and said happily, "Thank you, Jun Chennai, we are all your chocolates, you must work hard. We will always support you." Jun Chennai nodded, "Thank you for your support." Jun Xianyan passed by Jun Chennai and let out a disdainful hum. He had long been accustomed to Jun Chennai's behavior of being admired wherever he went, but now that he saw it, he still felt unhappy. What is there about him, Jun Chennai, that makes people like him? That face? I'm afraid his fans don't even know Jun Chennai's face now. It has been ruined long ago. He is just a monster now. A monster. Jun Xianyan wanted to see if they would still praise a monster as the national male god. The flight attendant recognized Jun Xianyan, who had just walked over, as the person who had just had a conflict with Jun Chennai. So he asked curiously, "Who is that person?" "Just a madman." Jun Xianyan was startled when he heard this, clenched his hands, gritted his teeth, and turned his face to glare at Jun Chennai. Jun Chennai smiled, as if there were thousands of stars between his eyebrows. The flight attendants were stunned, and Jun Chennai also realized that there were rows of flight attendants not far away leaning forward to stare at him. They all had starry eyes, exclaiming, "So handsome, so handsome." Jun Chennai was in a good mood and waved to them, and then the place became excited. Jun Chennai dragged his luggage to the airport. Others were holding signs to claim it, but Chu Shenxia was holding a game console. Jun Chennai rolled his eyes and walked towards Chu Shenxia with a look of disgust on his face. "Hey, Xiajun, have you grown taller again?" Jun Chennai said slowly, "Am I not always 1.88 meters tall?" Chu Shenxia rolled his eyes, "You just can't change your narcissism. Here, I give you a gift, the most slippery game console currently on the market." Jun Chennai glanced at it lightly and sneered, "What age is this game console? Old turtle dove, do you think you are bluffing a child?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1019. Chapter 1019. What are the two men and one woman doing here? Hey, don't underestimate this game console, Chu Sensio said seriously. This game console is the hottest nowadays. Today's trendy people all use this to play games. Are you out? Jun Chennai snorted twice and didn't take it seriously. Are you still addicted to games now? How old are you? Can you be more mature? Chu Sensio rolled his eyes and said, don't think it's great that you are doing business now. I am also doing business now. Jun Chennai glanced at Chu Sensio. Is it true or not? Of course it's true. Chu Sensio puffed up his chest and said. Follow me. Jun Chennai said slowly and leisurely. Chu Sensio immediately became unhappy. Why do you want me to imitate you? You brat, if you had known I wouldn't have come to pick you up today, you white-eyed wolf. Jun Chennai smiled and said nothing, looked around sideways, and then asked, where is Xia Ying? What are you thinking about? Chu Sensio reached out and poked Jun Chennai's head angrily. My cousin Xia Ying is busy now, and you are not an important person. Jun Chennai was too lazy to talk to Chu Sensio and said directly, she promised to come. Chu Sensio frowned, why didn't I know? What do you know? Jun Chennai glanced at Chu Sensio with disdain, and then said, she asked for something from me, and now I am naturally an important person to her. Jun Chennai revealed an inexplicable arrogance when he said this. Chu Sensio exposed it ruthlessly, what can I ask for, other than asking you to write music for her? Jun Chennai's face turned dark. When did he, Jun Chennai, become so worthless? It's not like he can only write music. Although, Xia Ying did want him to write a song. Forget it, if I don't tell you, you won't understand even if I tell you. Jun Chennai was embarrassed for a moment and quickened his pace. Chu Sensio followed behind, hey, Xiajun, are you too rude to me? You don't take anything, so I can help you carry your luggage alone. Jun Chennai raised the corners of his mouth and waved his hands with his back to Chu Sensio, thank you. Bah! Chu Sensio spat, if he had known it, he wouldn't have come. This spoiled young master is really difficult to maintain. On Sunday afternoon, Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng arrived at the place agreed with Li Sen. As soon as she arrived at the door, Xia Ying noticed something was wrong. Li Sen had booked the room today. As soon as she entered, she didn't see a single guest. As soon as Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng entered, the waiter's smiling face froze. What are these two men and a woman doing here? Originally, booking a venue was something couples often did, and they were used to it. Who knew that the two people who came in now looked more like a couple? A sharp-eyed waiter next to her even recognized that it was Xia Ying and her mysterious boyfriend. Then, what is the situation of the person inside? The waiter himself was knocked unconscious. Li Sen was sitting upright on the sofa, slowly turning a glass of bright red wine with one hand. He was thinking about what he should say and do when Xia Ying came. Just when Li Sen thought everything was under his control, he inadvertently raised his head and saw Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng beside Xia Ying. Li Sen's thick brows knitted together. He and Xia Ying were having dinner. Why did Xia Ying bring her boyfriend? Li Sen suddenly felt something strange in his heart. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1020. Chapter 1020. I'm scared at just one glance. Naturally, like most people in China, although he returned to China not long ago, Li Sen also knew that Xia Ying had a boyfriend. He had been on several hot searches some time ago, and everyone in China knew this. However, Li Sen prides himself on being a charming man and a victorious general in love. There is no woman that Li Sen cannot attract, even if that woman already has a boyfriend. Li Sen stared at Yu Lingfeng next to Xia Ying for a long time. He was wearing a mask and couldn't see his face, but even from a distance, the man looked stunning and extraordinary. Li Sen, a man, couldn't bear to look at him twice. Xia Ying has a good eye for choosing men. An imperceptible smile appeared on the corner of Li Sen's mouth, which seemed to be playful and somewhat frivolous. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng walked to Li Sen and approached. Li Sen further observed Yu Lingfeng. Although the face could not be seen completely, anyone could imagine that the face under the mask must be extraordinary. Yu Lingfeng's eyes met Li Sen's. Li Sen was suddenly startled and panicked for a moment. The man's eyes seemed to remind Li Sen of the way a powerful carnivorous man looked at his prey in the animal world. Li Sen suddenly felt that he was just a piece of fat meat on a chopping board, as if no matter how hard he struggled, he could not escape the blade of the man in front of him. What kind of eyes are those, and what kind of man he is? It actually made him, a person who claimed to have seen a lot of the world and see through human nature, feel unprecedented fear. He was really scared. But the man obviously didn't do anything, he just stared at him coldly. Li Sen adjusted his facial expression to make himself look more natural. Li Sen stood up and smiled politely towards Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng, but the smile was like a puppet with strings, very stiff. Not only Xia Ying, but Li Sen himself also felt it. This. Li Sen pretended not to recognize him. Oh, this is my boyfriend, his name is Yu Lingfeng. He heard about the charity party you held last time and thought you were a very caring person, so he must come to meet you in person. Xia Ying has always understood people, so she is very good at making this kind of embarrassing scene smooth. The smile on Xia Ying's face and the tone of her voice were so perfect that no flaws could be found. Li Sen also believed Xia Ying's rhetoric. However, when Li Sen and Yu Lingfeng were talking politely and Yu Lingfeng's knife-like eyes fell on Li Sen felt that this person came with bad intentions. It's definitely not for getting to know each other or making friends. It's more of a way to show one's identity. While eating, Yu Lingfeng did not move his chopsticks, and he never took off the mask on his face. Well, your boyfriend, isn't he hungry? Li Sen asked. He was curious why Yu Lingfeng didn't take off his mask yet. Could it be that although the eyebrows are so beautiful, the nose is depressed and the teeth are protruding, making it extremely ugly? Li Sen started to think about it. I'm allergic. Yu Lingfeng spoke up. Li Sen's pupils dilated instantly. Is this voice a voice actor? How come there is such a magnetic and charming voice? As a man, he felt numb in his heart when he heard this. End of this chapter.